Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video in the Kotlin series. In this video, I'll be teaching you about variables. Now I'm going to teach you guys about variables. And so what you could do is if you want to write another program to practice, learning how to make variables and manipulate them and all that fun stuff, you can go ahead and create a whole new project if you want to, and just do the same process that we did when we did the Hello World program. Or what you could do is actually create another file within your project and just run that file instead. So I'm going to show you how to do that since you already know how to create a project. So all you got to do is go to source, right click it, and do new Kotlin class/file, not Java class. And then make sure you select file because we're going to do a file, not a class. There's a slight difference between those two things. And we're going to type variables because that's the name of this episode. Click enter, and now it creates a new Kotlin file for us right next to our other one. So that's pretty cool. So now hopefully you remember the first thing that we have to do whenever we create a new program is create our main function. And it's okay if you don't remember how to do that, but the way you do it is by doing fun for function. Let me zoom in for you guys. So fun for function, and then main, and then curly bracket, press enter, and there we go. So this is our main function. This is where we can write our program code. So let me teach you about variables. So variables are a way to store data. So let me now give you the skeleton for how a variable is created, because there's different types of variables or different data types. So every time you create a variable, you're going to have the keyword var, and then you're going to have a name, and then after that name, you're going to put a semicolon, and then you're going to have the type of the variable. So type, and then you're going to have equal sign, and then you're going to have a value. Okay, that is how you create a variable within Kotlin. So let's see how we can create some basic variables. So let's say that we want to store a name within our program. So we can do var name colon string is equal to, and then we're going to give it a value that we want to store, which is Cody. So let me explain what's happening here. So first of all, we're declaring that we're creating a new variable. So var for variable, and this is a keyword. It's been highlighted as a keyword, and that's just a special word within a programming language that has meaning. So this here is not a keyword, it's just a name that you make up. So I can call it name, I can call it first name, you can call it whatever you want. Those are not special words. So this is the name of our variable, and then after the semicolon you have the data type of the variable. So there's different types of data, and so this data happens to be a string, and strings are denoted by quotes. So anything within quotes is a string within Kotlin, okay? So that's a string variable. So it's a variable that stores a string inside of your computer's memory. So let's create another one. We'll see what other kinds of variables that we can create within a program. So we can do var age, because you may want to store an age of somebody. And you can declare this one as an int. You're going to learn more about these data types next episode, don't worry. So var age, and this is going to be an int data type. And then we're going to give it an initial value of 21. So it's going to hold the number 21, and this one's going to hold the number, or hold the string Cody, okay? Now we're going to have another one. So var has ris. So this is going to be something called a boolean. So a boolean is another type of data that stores true and false values. So just simply true or false. This one's going to be true because obviously I have ris, okay? And also I'm 22, not 21. So that's important to update. Pretty cool, right? So now up to this point, we have a way to print messages into our console for programs that we create in Kotlin. But now we also have a way to store data within our programs, which is very important when it comes to computers, right? We want to store all kinds of data, and these are just some of the ways that we can store data. We can store a string, we can store an integer, which is a whole number, and then we can store a boolean, okay? And so since printing is the only thing we know how to do so far besides this, let's go ahead and print some of this stuff out. So we can say print line, and then within our message that we want to pass in here, we can say I am, and then we could do a special little thing. We can do $name, or actually first name, and then we can do and I am $age years old. Okay, so let me explain this in a second, but first let's go ahead and run it. So currently if we click run, it's going to run the previous file that we had selected. So if you want to run the new file, you just right click it, and you can do run variables kt, and it'll run that one instead. There we go, so it has been switched, and now it's compiling it and running it. So we should see some output in 1 second here. Here we go, so in our console it says I am Cody and I am 22 years old. Awesome. So let's see what's happening here. So in the print line function that we already know about, we're passing in the message, right? This is a string itself, but we can see that we also have this special little piece of code here, and this is simply a way of printing a variable really easily within Kotlin, which is very unique to Kotlin actually, because it's actually harder within other programming languages. So what this is doing is, since we have $, and then the name of our first name variable, whenever it actually calls this function here, it's going to pass in the value that is currently stored in this variable, which happens to be Cody. So whenever it prints out this entire message, it's going to replace first name with the value of first name, and then age with the value of age, so 22. And then all of that will be printed to the console as we just saw. Pretty cool, right? Like I said before, printing is very helpful and useful within programs just so that we can see the values that our variables have. And this is one case. Even though these variables here are not actually changing, they all have their initial values of Cody, 22, and true. They will, or maybe will, change in the future, and they could be something else in the future, okay? So how can we do that? How can we change the value of a variable that we have? So let's say that I am 21, and then my birthday comes along, so now I'm 22, okay? So the way we can change that value of that variable is by doing age is equal to 22. So what we've just done here is reassigned age to store the value 22, okay? So as you can see here, it's still a number because it has to be an integer. So if we did something like 22 as a string, that would not work because age is an integer. That's how we specified it, all right? So it's 22, and so since it has no quotes, that's just an integer, not a string. And if we want to go ahead and reassign has Riz, let's say that I'm old now, I don't have Riz anymore, that's going to be false now. So Boolean can only be true or false, so now it's false because I'm 22 and old, and now I have no Riz. So that's how you can reassign the value of a variable. You can do this as many times as you need, actually. It doesn't matter how many times you reassign your variable values. So this may be helpful whenever maybe you are playing a video game and the player scores a point, so you may want to update the points variable, stuff like that, okay? So something you can also do is declare a variable and not give it an initial value like we did up here with these three ones. So Cody, 21, and true. So we could say something like favorite color, and we can declare it as a string data type. Okay, so we just created a new variable called favorite color, and it has a data type of string, but we didn't give it an initial value, okay? So what this is going to be behind the scenes is something called null, meaning it's a special value within a programming language that means that there's nothing there, so it's just called null. So you're going to be very careful usually with null values or variables that have null values within them. So for example, if I do print line and I try printing out favorite color, this is bad. It's actually warning you automatically, because IntelliJ is smart. It's warning you that you're trying to print a variable that has null or nothing, right? So it says variable favorite color must be initialized. In this case, we did not initialize it. It just has nothing. So if we run this now, we're going to get an error. There we go. It says Kotlin variable favorite color must be initialized. Okay. So you're going to see this much more in the future, but for now, just remember that you want to be careful and usually assign your variables with, initial values, but you don't actually have to. So if I want to, do favorite color is equal to blue, now it'll work. It's perfectly valid because before I print it out and use the actual variable, it has been given a value of blue. So if I rerun this now, it should print out blue. There we go. It says blue. All right. So one thing I want to add to this is naming conventions. This is also pretty important here. Not the most important thing, but it's important as a developer that you know what these are. So this is simply how to name variables. So naming conventions are something that's different usually for every single programming language. Some languages have common naming conventions, but they're not all the same. So right now we only know about variables. We don't really know about other types of stuff and how to name them yet. So we'll just worry about variables. So right now you can see that whenever I have a single word within my variable name, it just is lowercase. It's all lowercase. But if I have multiple words within a variable name, the first one is lowercase, and then the second word and potentially the third and fourth words will have a first letter starting with a capital letter, okay? So for example, if I say first name and last name, that is proper because every word has a first capital letter, okay? And then I can go ahead and update this to have my last name, of course. There we go. And then make sure that you update here. So instead of first name, it's going to be first name and last name. There we go. Press tab to autocomplete. But there we go. So this is something called camel case. So camel case is whenever you have it named in this way. So the first word will be lowercase, and then every word after that will be uppercase for the first letter, okay? So pretty simple thing to remember. Just make sure you name your variables like that. This is a convention, meaning you don't actually have to. It's not invalid code. It's not going to create any errors if you name it in a weird way. It's just a common practice followed by pretty much all coders of a programming language. Now you should hopefully know how to create variables within Kotlin in your programs. So this is how you store data. And in the next episode, I'm going to show you guys all the different types of data types that we can do with our variables, okay? So stay tuned. Alright, so that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. In the description below, I'll leave a link to the code for this episode so you can check it out. You can bookmark it, come back to it later. If you forget any concepts or you just want to review the concepts I taught in this video, I'll mark everything up with comments so you can come back and read the code without having to rewatch the video. Although your reviews are greatly appreciated. So yeah, I'll leave a link for that in the description below, so make sure to check it out. And another thing is I'll leave a link to our Discord server. It's a big community for programmers, so you can ask for help on your programming projects if you're stuck on something, or maybe you can get some new friends. If you don't have any friends, there's lots of people here. It's growing really fast. You can find lots of people who are passionate about the same things as you. For example, if you like Minecraft Spigot development, you can find lots of people who like that. If you like C++, if you like Java, if you like web development, it's a really, really big programming community. So feel free to join. There's a link for that in the description below. And the last thing I want to tell you is that if you want to support this channel, you can click the join button below this video, and you can join this channel as a member for as low as 99 cents a month, and you can cancel at any time. You get some cool perks like early access to all of my new videos, a cool rank on my Discord server like you see right here on the side, YouTube members, and also you get to see yourself on the screen like you see right now. So if that sounds cool to you, feel free to join. If you don't want to, that's fine. If you can't, that's okay too. I really just appreciate you watching the video anyway. And thank you. Thanks a lot. And that's it. So if you like this video, leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. And peace.